Hello Tingleheads. Today I want to share with you some personal story, especially for Valentine's Day. As you may know, I am now married to my lover, best friend, dearest guy I've ever met. I don't like the phrase husband. It's like too much for me. So sometimes I call him spouse. A few years ago, in our first year, I studied the beginning of my first degree far away in this college in the south of Israel, and we couldn't see each other so much, but he proved himself in this relationship, and he puts in a lot of efforts to come and see me, drive a few times a week, not sleeping at night, waking very early in the morning to go back to his work, and still I missed him so much every time. So I decided to make something special for him, and I wrote this secret blog, and for a few months I wrote stuff we had together and my feelings for him, and I decided that I will show him the blog only after it's going to be like full with posts. And I felt like it's going to be special for him to retrospectively read this after a few months, and knowing that I put effort into it for so long. And today you watch us together, as you know from the last hair videos I uploaded. And you know, guys, that he does my hair most times, and while you're watching us doing something that is so familiar to us, I want to read you one of the posts I wrote to him something like 6 or 5 years back. So here it goes. My love, you are my prize. After all of the experience I had, after all of these years, all my desires formulate together. You are the answer to all of my prayers. Quietly and slowly, I got you. I have pulled over you one wrapper after another until I revealed you. I revealed my gift, my prize. You are a present that its value has not been estimated, yet I feel it's high, too high. I always recall how you were there next to me, under my nose, quiet and mysterious figure that is hanging there day by day. I love to restore, imagining at that time in the past, if only someone would whisper to me back then, this is him, do you see? Do you see this noble guy? It's him. I'm curious what I was thinking back then, how I would have accepted it. Maybe I wouldn't have believed. Introverted guy, quiet, sometimes smiling, sitting at the table not far away, doing his job, and lives. He lives in an unfamiliar world with a family I still didn't know, carry character that I'm going to appreciate so much in my future. He goes out with friends wherever he goes, experience relationships he chooses to cultivate, fall in love, get disappointed, writes, draw. And I must have walked by him so many times, on my way to my table, to a lunch break, to resolve professional matters, to the photocopier, to the boss's office, to answer a phone call from a random guy. How many times I walked past him without imagining, without knowing the beautiful bodies hiding behind his shirt, without knowing this head runs a very appreciated thoughts, opinions and views, without knowing how soothing and calming his voice can be, confident and sexy. A whole world of mine passed by me, and where was I? How many times in life your old and new world overlaps together without you to notice or knowing? How many times did you pass by your future, yawned and moved on? But not for long. Perhaps something from above sent me a sign. I thought of you every time when there was an interaction between us, professional interaction of course. I remember observing you, and after several moments discarding this thought, then go home to someone else. Soon enough, a friendly mail got into my email box. A whole deep conversations, a world that has developed in the form of written words. Months goes by, and here you are, my world, somehow, without meaning, without pushing, in your easy way. You gathered me into your heart, and I held you back. Well, as you can understand, we worked together in the same company a few years ago, and I made it to this company just by case, by accident. Months before I got to this place, or 2 months before, I started working in another company. This was a cellular company, but before then I worked in a very big bank in Israel, and it was a temporary project. And I was just after I came back from a big trip abroad, I was traveling Australia, and I was traveling Thailand and Laos, and after that I came back to Israel and I looked myself. I was working, I was living in my parents' house, and moved to the central of the country, and I was young and full of drive. But after finishing the temporary project, I worked in the bank. Like, I was the only one in the crew that was asked to stay. We were like 6 or 7 people in this crew, in this temporary project work. And I was, when it was finished, I was the only one who asked to stay on a permanent position in the same place. And I was very willing to keep on working there. I felt like it's a good opportunity to work in a big organization like a bank. And I don't know what happened, but day before we all finished there, I was the boss called me and he said something went wrong with the position, and I don't know why or who did or said something, maybe, I don't know, but he told me that I was like the best team worker that they had, and they want me to be with them, but they don't know what happened, and it's something behind the scene. And it was something, I don't know, maybe with the standard change, I don't know, the need change, the structure of this organization changed. Anyway, he told me that it's not gonna happen, and I felt so sorry. At the moment I was so disappointed, and I felt like, why this is happening to me, and it went so well. And anyway, then after a month or so, a friend of mine called me and said that they are looking for a new crew in his company, a solar company, and he really wants me to go there and work with them, and he appreciates me and he feels like I can do good there. And he said he's gonna talk to his boss, and blah blah blah. After a while I got to this place and I passed the interview, and they say they would like to have me there, and there it goes. I worked there for around a year or so, maybe more than a year, maybe 15 months or something. And me and my husband, the word I hate, we worked together in the same crew, but we weren't really close colleagues, just a formal colleagues. And yeah, I've known him long before we got together. After a while I decided to go to have my first degree and my BA, my communication BA, and I left this work, and about 3 months or 2 months before I left to study, we got together secretly without no one knowing there. We used to go on lunch break. We used to fly away together, going down to the parking floor, like -2 floor or something, to chat and kiss and fall in love. But we didn't want the rest of the crew to know. And anyway, soon enough I left the place, and as I told you before in the beginning, he proved himself, keeping in touch and be there with me, even though I was far away, and even though I'm a student now. And he just drove so many miles to see me a few times a week and weekends, and we got so in love. Thanks God I have him, and we've been together for 7 years or so, and we have a baby girl now. And I just wanted to share this piece of beautiful thing I had in my life. Now, what I was trying to say, beside the romantic aspect, is that you should never give up. And no matter what happens to you, I know it's more complicated most times, but try to think of what could happen when you take a new path, and how many good things can come to your life, even though you're disappointed in the moment and you maybe can't see how good is waiting for you around the corner. For the sake of this video, I felt I wanted to read you an Indian tale, and I did a little research, and I found out that there's a research tool named Arena Thompson classification system, named after the researchers whose name is Arena and Thompson. Basically, they established a classification system, a kind of index that used to classify folk tales. So when you take folk tales and you try to arrange them by the subjects, and I found out there's a main motive in which a demon is defeated because he cannot straighten a curly hair. Now, it turns out that you can find such tales in Germany, England, and India. So today I decided to read you an Indian one about the demon who was defeated because he couldn't straighten a curly hair. So the brown rakshas and the hair. In a certain village, there lived a very rich landlord who owned several villages, but was such a great miser that no tenant would willingly cultivate his lands, and those he had gave him not a little trouble. He was indeed so vexed with them that he left all his lands untilled, and his tanks and irrigation channels dried up. All this, of course, made him poorer and poorer day by day. Nevertheless, he never liked the idea of freely opening his purse to his tenants and obtaining their goodwill. While he was in this frame of mind, a learned sannyasi, which is a holy man, paid him a visit, and on his representing his case to him, he said, "My dear son, I know a mantra in which I can instruct you. If you repeat it for 3 months, day and night, a Brahmarakshas will appear before you on the first day of the 4th month. Make him your servant, and then you can set at naughty all your petty troubles with your tenants. The Brahmarakshas will obey all your orders, and you will find him equal to 100 servants." Our hero fell at his feet and begged to be instructed at once. The sage then sat facing the east, and his disciple the landlord facing the west, and in this position formal instruction was given, after which the sannyasi went his way. On the first day of the 4th month, the great Brahmaraksha stood before him. "What do you want, sir, for my hands?" he said. The landlord was thunderstruck at the huge monster who now stood before him, but nevertheless said, "I want you to obey all my commands." "Agreed," answered the Brahmarakshas in a very mild tone, for it was his duty to leave off his impertinent ways when anyone who had performed the required penance wanted him to become his servant. "Agreed, but you must always give me work to do. When one job is finished, you must at once give me the second, and so on. If you fail, I shall kill you." The landlord, thinking that he would have work for several such Brahmarakshas, was pleased to see that his demoniacal servant was so eager to help him. At once he took him to a big tank which had been dried up for several years, and pointing it out, spoke as follows: "You see this big tank? You must make it as deep as the height of 2 palmyra trees, and repair the embankment wherever it is broken." "Yes, my master, your orders shall be obeyed," humbly replied the servant, and fell to work. The landlord, thinking that it would take several months, if not years, to do the work in the tank, for it was cause long and 1 cause broad, returned delightedly to his home, where his people were awaiting him with a sumptuous dinner. When evening was approaching, the Brahmarakshas came to inform his master that he had finished his work in the tank. He was indeed astonished and feared for his own life. "What? Finish the work in 1 day which I thought would occupy him for months and years? If he goes on this rate, how shall I keep him employed? And when I cannot find for him, he will kill me." Thus he thought, and began to weep. His wife wiped the tears that ran down his face and said, "My dearest husband, you must not lose courage. Get out of Brahmarakshas, all the work you can, and then let me know. I'll give him something that will keep him engaged for a very, very long time, and then he'll trouble us no more." But her husband only thought her words to be meaningless, and followed the Brahmarakshas to see what he had done. Sure enough, the thing was as complete as could be, so he asked him to plow all his lands, which extended over 20 villages. This was done very fast. The landlord now grew hopeless. "What more work have you for me?" roared the brown Rakshas, as he found that his master had nothing for him to do, and that the time for his eating him up was approaching. "My dear friend," said he, "my wife says she has a little job to give to you. Do it please now. I think that is the last thing I can give you to do, and after it, in obedience of the condition under which you took service with me, I must become your prey." At this moment his wife came to them, holding in her left hand a long hair which she has just pulled out from her head, and said, "Well, brown Rakshas, I have only very little job for you. Take this hair, and when you have made it straight, bring it back to me." The brown Rakshas calmly took it and sat in a peepal tree to make it straight. He rolled it several times on his thigh and left it up to see if it became straight. But no, it wouldn't still bend. Just then it occurred to him that goldsmiths, when they want to make their metal wire straight, have them heated in fire. So he went to the fire and placed the hair over it, and of course it frizzled up with nasty smell. He was horrified. "What will my master's wife say if I do not produce the hair she gave me?" So he became mightily afraid and ran away. So I wish you all the best Valentine's Day. I hope you have a Valentine. I hope you have love. I hope you feel loved. And I just want to say I love you. Have a good night.